then I know they're noticing it now.
Well, I mean, that they tried to cover up his mental decline, and they tried telling us like, "Oh, this is the best Biden ever." Like,
no, this is not even him making these decisions. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's what's crazy is he's just like I don't know the puppet, and somebody else is just
well,
thinking for
you
him
should check
because.
out James O'Keefe. Have you heard of him?
Mm,
He did the documentary Line in the Sand recently. You have to watch it. That's
okay.
about that he goes down to the border and like crosses over, and it like shows like what these people have to do to get to America, and it's terrible. It's
Oh yeah.
sad. There's I understand that there are actual immigrants who want to come to this country. If you come here legally, that's fine. If you go through the process, that's fine. But these people who are coming in illegally, over the people who are applying to come here
Yeah.
legally are getting,
So many
they're getting
benefits.
surpassed over these people who are actually trying to follow the law. And so you're letting all these
Yeah.
people, like, if you come into this country illegal, you've already broken the law. Boom, that's already
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
You're already got a problem.
Well, and then they give him all these benefits. I heard they give.
Right, yeah, we're paying for them to have these like airplane flights, these hotels and phones and healthcare benefits for free, and it's like they complained like, oh, it's gonna cost so much to have this mass deportation. How many millions of dollars is it gonna be? Like,
Mhm.
how many millions of dollars, billions of dollars have we spent? You know, Giving them
Mm,
phones and
mm,
healthcare and flights and
mm.
hotels and all this like BS.
It's
Like,
just yeah,
come on,
it's not
be
fair.
realistic here.
Yeah.
Like, your compassion, you're on the wrong side of compassion.
Right.
Like, compassion should like not come before common sense. So the folks who are trying to come here legally, who do the whole process
Or
and everything
done it.
like
Yeah.
that, it's not fair to them.
No, it's not. That's
It's
exactly
not
what I was
fair
getting
to
ready to
them.
say. That's not. It's demeaning to them with all they had to go through to get their
Well,
green
yes,
card or
they're
any.
waiting like
Yeah.
10 some odd years when these people are just literally like walking through the
They're like,
border like it's nothing. And it's
yeah.
like, that's just, I mean, but there's people out here who want to stand up for this,
Mm,
saying like, no, it's wrong, mass deportation's wrong. Like, man, it's like they completely disregard the crimes that these people are doing. Like, just the other day, that woman got
mm,
lit on fire.
yeah.
And he doesn't even have a criminal past. He lit this woman's clothes on fire
And
and then
watch.
washed it from the next cart.
That's crazy.
And she died.
Where was Penny? There, Daniel. Was it?
Yes, Daniel Penny. Where
We should
was
have been. Where
he?
was
He
he at?
should have been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't blame him for not wanting to
I,
ride the
oh
subway
no,
anymore.
no
I
doubt, no
don't.
doubt.
That poor man.
Well, he was a hero in my eyes. He was a hero for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, what
He
he
still
did
is.
was definitely heroic.
Yeah.
And the fact that they want to say that, I don't know, like, why are you standing up for this other criminal? Like, just because the person that restrained him was white and the criminal was black, like, that's
That's what it's always been.
like,
They
come on.
always trying to make this. That's what press does too. A lot of the press is now like always making like trying to do a race war so that
Well, the
it's just
BLM
crazy.
is it's just like that they've had like $90 million donated to them, and they haven't. Where is that money in any of the uh their neighborhoods and their communities and stuff like that? They haven't put that money back into that. They bought themselves mansions and cars and blah blah blah. Like, come on. And what about the young girl who was like killed by
Hmm.
an illegal by drunk driving?
Hmm.
Hit like T-bone them. It killed that little black girl, and you don't hear them talking about her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I heard
It's
another
always been.
podcaster, he was raising money for her, and there was hardly any money raised.
Mm.
But you've got all this money raised for Neely, the one from the subway and Penny. He's got all this money, raised to help with the court fees and blah 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 because the dad wanted money, and if I heard that the dad wasn't even really involved in his life, and what really we should be standing up against, and you shouldn't be railing against like the white people. It should be, like, stand up against the lack of healthcare that they have. Like the mental healthcare system is a fail.
Hmm.
Because that man Neely needed help, and he'd been arrested for kidnapping a 7-year-old girl, 7 or 9-year-old girl. I can't remember how old. He was arrested for decking an old man who was like in his mid 60s, and then he also punched another 60-year-old woman in the nose,
Oh my
and it
God.
like broke her nose and busted her occipital bone on the subway. Like, so this man had different arrests and different opportunities for the state to take care of him and to help him, you know, um,
Hmm.
with his struggles, and yet they failed. The mental health system failed Neely, and so that situation that happened on the subway with Daniel Penny should have never even happened.
Hmm.
That should have never happened.
Hmm. Another thing is they need to, well, with the migrants and all this stuff, because they've got gangs coming through, and they like, okay, so why don't they not just, they just need to do background checks if they're gonna really invite people to come through here, they need to at least. But then it doesn't
It's
really
a
matter
process.
because
Yeah, it's a
then it doesn't
process.
really matter because
Well,
you got
then
people that
there's
may not even be criminals want to be criminals because they're I don't know, it's just crazy.
well, yeah,
It
well,
doesn't
I
make
mean,
any
I
sense.
understand they're wanting to like seek asylum. Folks are
Yeah.
really trying to seek asylum. There are those cases those are real. I mean, I understand that those are completely real. Um, but there's a process you should go through those things and see. There's people that are. I mean, there's millions of people coming in, and not all those people need asylum. I can
This
guarantee
is
you, not all those people need
this is
asylum.
my thoughts on why they would even want that because it doesn't make sense. Why would they want to keep America America? You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
and there's so many. But my thoughts on it, why they would even allow that to happen is because they were going to allow them to vote for them so that they could stay
Right, that's
president.
what they were doing. They were
And
bringing them in so that they could vote and win with those
right,
who didn't have voter ID or
or
didn't have any IDs.
or defund the police and push them out into so they'd make more blue states and stuff. That's what I've heard.
But yeah, so like defund the police is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I remember like like back in the like the 80s and 90s, it was like punk rock to like because they were rising up against the police who were trying to like come after folks that didn't really need to be sought after. Like the rap industry kind of was like built on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like okay, I get that that was cool then, but it's not really cool anymore. Like, look, I was a criminal, and I don't there's some cops that I don't particularly care for, but we need police. We need them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to sit there and say defund the police, but then you want to call them on us white folks or whatever you want to call us on the right because we're being whatever you want to call us. And so it's like I don't know. It just doesn't really make much sense.
It doesn't mean because okay, so if you think about the BLM, right? That wasn't necessarily they tried to make it seem like it was a white versus black thing, right? But
Right now, yeah,
it really was the cops are killing black people. It was more like a cops,
right, and that was valid.
right?
Like
So I can
I
see where they
understand
were
that.
like concerned about it, but not to say
But
that.
now it's like turned and like it's
Yeah,
become something completely different.
yeah, yeah.
And like racism isn't just white against black. I mean, I feel like some people think that being racist is just white people against black people, and it's like no, you can be racist doesn't matter what race you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't
Sad
really
that
think I don't really think people are as racist as folks want to call somebody. I really
right.
don't think that they truly are racist. And shout out to Matt Walsh. Am I racist? That movie, you have to go check that documentary out. It really does show like how irrelevant racism is in the world because it's not something that people really think about. They're not talking about it. Like I always say like the way to stop it, or like what did what's his name, Morgan Freeman said, like, well, how do we stop it? And it's like stop talking about it.
Right.
Like stop talking about
Or
it. Stop making it a problem.
well, the fact that the fact they even I think is racist to even call them black. You know what I mean? You don't think that's like weird that like they just
No, because
call
you say white.
right? But I mean, African Americans, but it still
Well, no,
seems so
no,
worse. So,
they act like okay, but you could call somebody a whitey and it not be a big deal, but you say blackie and it's like,
but it's just the fact that
which I
they're
think
just
is
categorizing us all. We're all Americans.
well,
At
yeah,
the end of the
okay, yeah,
day,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
all Americans.
I can
You know what I'm
I can
saying?
agree
I
with
feel
that.
like we should never be categorized anyways.
But I feel like you shouldn't be afraid to call somebody black, just as if you're not afraid to call somebody white.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right. But so I got something really really cool. I was gonna make this song one time. It's about racist, right?
Hmm.
Or racism or whatever it is. I was going to put a little line out there. It was like, why is the world so racist? It doesn't even make sense. Why does everybody love Raymond, but everybody hates Chris? Right? I love it.
That's
And
pretty good. That's
I
pretty
mean,
good.
it's, I think that the fact that the press really does, you see how it all ties in together. Everybody
Hmm.
loves Raymond, everybody hates Chris. Like, see what they're trying to, I can see where they think it could be like, well, it's true. Like, there's a lot of racism, and
I don't think that there's systemic racism like they want. They're trying to say that we're systemically racist, which I think that's bullshit. But I think there's individual racism. Absolutely, there are people who are individually racist. But I don't think it's in the system or the government is not racist because usually if you are a person of color, you're usually more accepted into college or a job over the white person. So it's like it's really it's starting to be where like, oh, I mean, I'm gonna get a lot of heat for saying this, but they're starting to oppress white people. And I'll probably get my neck chopped for saying that,
No, no, necessarily. Well, I don't know pressing, but I know
but I
that
mean that's what it's evolving into. Is like, I mean, it's making like the white man the bad guy, and it's like I think we need to kind of like back up, pump the brakes a little bit. Like when we were growing up in the 90s, you didn't really hear about it. I mean, I felt like we were moving forward. It was moving in a positive direction. And I didn't really, I
mm,
didn't see color when I looked at people. You
Rodney
just see a,
King. That's all I can say. Rodney King. I don't know about that. It was still always like a cop and the black. You've seen Straight Outta Compton. It was literally like that. I don't know because I was
well,
Atlanta at
yeah,
the time, but
yeah,
like it's always been like profiling and stuff. So I get it, but maybe not look that type or look the part. Like I feel like maybe if you dress like a no, don't take me wrong, but like I still kind of have I still dress like a thug or whatever you want to call it. I still have like my fashion is probably not acceptable to certain uh cops' eyes. You know what I mean? But
right.
like but if I dress like I'm a active member of society, maybe I got treated differently, or is it
Which
shouldn't
I
be
think which
profiling as much, but you know.
now I understand that, but then I also understand that, like, okay, so now this is just like a common sense thing to me. uh, just as an individual, whether you're a cop or a citizen or whatever, and you're trying to have this perception, and you're trying to perceive somebody. Everybody has their own worldview of each demographic in each person or type of person, whether it be male, female, whatever race or whatever. Everybody has their own judgment that we come up with, that we create as we grow up.
Stereotypes. Is that what you're saying?
uh,
In a way, kind of.
yeah, but I mean, like, so, like, when you see somebody on the street, you already have your worldview of everything else that has gone on and that you've learned and the information that you've taken in
Mm,
over time. So you're gonna have these opinions,
mm-hmm,
based off of what you've learned or been exposed to in life. So
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's understandable for people to profile based on your worldview of humans.
I think it should be based on your experiences more than any
Right. That's
worldview.
exactly what I'm saying. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
experiences and
Because
your worldview, because I
yeah.
feel like your worldview comes from your
But the
experiences.
worldview could also come from fake news, fake
Yes.
things that are like
Yeah.
their press is trying to make you feel is not
Oh yeah,
real. You know what I mean?
propaganda, pumping propaganda
For
into
sure, for
it.
sure.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like if we all just showed each other more compassion and
But not too
respect,
compassionate.
yeah, well, respect, self-respect, and just love. You know what I mean?
The golden rule: treat others as if you would want to, the way you would want to be treated. I feel like if we use that, if we fundamentally use that, then I feel like we can kind of step away from, like, oh, look at this person's skin
Some,
color, so that they must be this type of person. Like that. That's
right?
silly.
Yeah.
That's silly.
Yep.
It's it shouldn't be based off your race, religion, sexual orientation,
Or politic beliefs,
or
political.
yeah,
Yeah.
political views or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that. It should just be, usually, okay, so within the first 3 seconds you can have like a perception of somebody just by looking at their looks.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to speak and talk to somebody, get to know
Mm-hmm.
somebody before you can really go and judge that person, or, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover, type of thing.
right.
Yeah.
But some people get so, their heart bleeds so much, and they wear their heart on their sleeve, and they just, I don't know, some of these people that you see on TV, it's not what real life people are. Those are not real. Some of them are just not. They're not real people. It's not like real life.
Right.
They're not real situations. So that's kind of like why we want to make this podcast in the first place, is to, like, to to throw out their actual everyday American views versus what they want to put on the TV,
Right.
or what
Because
they what they're trying to pump
or
into
even
into our minds.
just look at the certain commercials or paid programs, or they have a set uh, look or a set. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
Ev-
they perceive it the way they want you to see it. And I feel like that's wrong. I feel, as journalists, you should be able to report the news, get all of lay out all of the information, all of it,
mm-hmm.
whether you agree with it or not. Lay out all the information and let us decide for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves what we think about it, instead of pushing your opinion so hard onto the American people and telling them that if they disagree that they're wrong. That
Right.
is not a journalist's job. That's
No.
not your job.
No. I guess that's the viewer's job to decide what they feel is.
What they feel is right or wrong, or whatever. It's up to we the people, not the mainstream media.
Yeah, for us to fact check everything.
Right.
You know, true. I agree. All right, another topic. Let's go with. Let's see.
How about we'll end it on a light note. The last topic we'll talk about Christmas and New
Christmas.
Year's.
Fa ra 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 ra